Hey guys, welcome to the Wedding Vendors Happy Hour with your hosts, Derek and Jade.
What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in and welcome to episode 26 of the Wedding Vendors Happy Hour. Again, my name is Derek with DP Films Productions.
My name is Jade with Justice Promised Events. Today we chat with Kim from Flowers by Kim, an incredibly talented floral designer and draping specialist. She designs weddings that are fresh and creative, reflecting her client's style.
That's right. This is going to be one great episode as we dive into the world of Flowers by Kim. So grab a drink, take a seat, and let's get to it. Hey, Kim, how's it going?
I'm great. How are you?
Not too bad. Again, thank you so much for being a part of our show. I know this year has been all over the place and crazy.
Yeah, it's been a little nuts, but I'm glad to be talking with you guys today.
Yeah, definitely. I know that we're excited and vendors are really excited to hear your story and how you got started. So to kick this show off, can you just let everyone know who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it?
Yeah, sure. Well, my name is Kim Lahargo. My business name is Flowers by Kim, and I started this about 12 years ago, if we include last year, which has been kind of crazy, but 12 years ago. And yeah, it's been super fun. I'm an event florist, and so I pretty much focus on weddings and parties. And then for floral design, and then another segment of my business is draping buildings and structures.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Yeah, all of your designs are so pretty, both floral and draping. So super, super excited to dig into your brain and see how you work and everything. So just to start, how did you get started in floral design and everything?
Yeah, well, I think flowers have always been part of my life. It just took a long time for it to come out all the way. But probably the most significant thing I've done is I've always gardened, even as, a child. I think when I was 8 for Easter, my grandma got me an entire plant set. And I really had a desire to grow things at a young age. And then I worked in finance for about 10 years, and I always grew flowers in my yard. And then my boss said, "Hey, why don't you do my wedding flowers for me?" And I was like, "Well, I can't do wedding flowers. I can grow flowers, but I can't put them together." And she's like, "Oh, you'll do something lovely." And that was my first stab at it. So it was just kind of serendipity, and it was really fun. And I was like, wow, I enjoyed it. And then I just kind of did it on the side here and there. And that's kind of how it started. But that was a long time ago. That was probably closer to 30 years ago.
Oh, dang.
That's so cool. How did you feel? Because we read that a little bit of the story about your boss's wedding on your website, but how did you feel when he asked you? Were you scared? Did you feel pressured? Were you nervous? Like, oh man, if I do a bad job, I'm going to get fired.
Oh gosh.
Well, I wasn't super nervous because I had a really close relationship with my boss. And I think the expectations weren't, anything too crazy. But I will say when I was building everything, I rented a hotel room and I was building it in the room, and I just could not believe how long it took to do everything. And I had buckets and water everywhere. It was a total disaster in my room. I underestimated the time. And so I would say that was something that I learned. And, but we had a great relationship before their wedding and after their wedding. So I think it all went out okay.
Awesome. Did you get all the flowers there on time?
What was that?
Did you end up getting all the flowers there on time, since you said you'd...
Yeah, I did. It was just total mayhem, but it ended up being fine. So it was a good experience because, it was just really for a friend, and you learn a lot. It's a lot different now with paid client. It just ran a lot
Yeah.
differently.
Definitely.
So you said that you pulled your flowers from your own garden for that wedding. Do you still do that? Like, do you still have your own garden today that you pull for weddings?
Well, I had to kind of let that part of it go. It was really hard for me to manage both things. But I do plant a significant amount of greenery that I use. And we're in my location is in Paso Robles. So growing flowers here is pretty challenging, for like the quantities you need for a wedding, because we just don't have very long growing seasons here because of the extreme heat and cold.
Mm-hmm.
But what does grow really well here are greenery. So I own 20 acres. So not that I have 20 acres of trees, but I have a lot of trees, and I have things like, rosemary and bay leaf and, like traditional like boxwood that you'd see in a garden. I have all sorts of greenery plus eucalyptuses and pepper tree and all sorts of stuff. So it's really nice to be able to source a variety of foliages from my yard.
That's so cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah. You have like land. So, I heard you mention that you were in finance when, you were, had your other job. I want to know, like, when you transitioned into weddings full time, was that a scary transition for you I'm not sure. Did you leave financing, or are you still doing it, or?
Yeah. So I actually owned I stopped working there, and then I bought a restaurant, and I owned that restaurant for 5 years.
Well, cool.
And then I sold that restaurant, and then I was 40 years old when I sold that restaurant, and my husband was like, "Well, now what do you want to do?"
Yeah.
I said, I like playing around with flowers. And so what I did is I went back to school, like a trade school.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called the Floral Design Institute. And so I was able to kind of learn the, mechanics of flowers, how to process them so they last longer, and how to arrange them correctly and all that kind of stuff. And
Cool.
So I did that and started my business. And I think my first year I had maybe 9 customers, maybe. And it was like, one boutonniere, and, the next week or next month would have been 2 bouquets and 1 centerpiece. It took a long time to get the momentum going. It was during the recession,
Oh yeah.
So it was really hard to get it was hard to break through at that time. But I pushed, like every year. I was like, I've got to do more. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it took a while, but
that's so cool that you mentioned. Yeah, that's so cool that you mentioned about that. I mean, that's not cool about the recession, but knowing that you went through that, like during this year, you're probably like prepared and like, all right, I know how to make it through this.
Yeah, I would say it definitely helps. I think starting in such a poor economy like I started in gave me perspective. I think those people that started this business, like 5 years ago, when things were really great and just kind of building every year, like,
mm-hmm.
Greatly every year, I think that those probably business owners are going to be in a much bigger shock for what we're going through right now. Plus, I married a farmer, and I have to tell you, farmers are very frugal. And farming is a business that you make really good money 1 year, and then you lose money for 5 years, and you make great money for 2 years, and then you break even a year. So I think having, my husband, since he's a farmer, I think we always go into every year kind of conservatively, just knowing that you never really know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Smart.
Super smart. I like hearing little golden gems when vendors say certain things like that. How you mentioned that your husband's a farmer, and I see you guys like the perfect couple. You doing flowers and farming. That's super cool. Yeah, it all comes together.
Yeah, he's a great guy too.
So I also want to know, like, this is a huge question, not a huge question, but this is something that really interests me, like to know what or who inspires you to do what you do or to create certain, designs with the florals.
Wow, that's a tough one. There's a couple different things that inspire me, I guess. One thing is financially, which, artists never talk about. So, I find that I love to learn like techniques from people that teach me how to be more efficient and, and maybe not my favorite design, but maybe it's extremely profitable. And so I think that, especially this last 5 years, people have gotten away from that. Like they've just have been it's been like a luxury to only focus on design and what's trending and, the coolest flowers, the hard flowers to source, it's become like this complicated Pinterest, snowball. So I find like people that are able to show you how to make really beautiful things, classic things that are profitable. I like that. So that's one thing. And very few people actually talk about that. And that's probably because, finance and married to a farmer, I probably think about money more than a lot of people think about it. But then there's a whole other aspect, which is, the creative fun part, which we've all been able to flounder around in these last few years. And, I camp, I fish, I love all that. I love being in nature, and really flowers and design it stems from nature. So, and then there's other people like in our industry that I love to watch, and I like to watch them grow and learn. And I learn things from them. I love collaborating with other florists in our area. And, with social media, like you can look all day long on Instagram and Pinterest and get inspiration like nonstop.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. So from what I got is like you're business savvy and you guys are like survival ready. So when this economy, if it does go to, drops, I know where Jade and I are going. For real. Jeez.
Yeah, but I have 20 acres. You can hang out here.
We'll just camp out there.
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, God.
So can you kind of walk us through what the floral design process looks like for most of your clients? Like say they have no idea what they want. How do you approach that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. I love this part I love talking to brides and couples about their ideas and their overall look of their wedding and the feel and the vibe they want their guests to have. I love doing that. And how we start is we send out a questionnaire, and it's pretty basic. It's a lot of the nuts and bolts, but people always comment about how they like that I've done that because it really starts to make them think in more concrete steps. And it becomes their vision becomes a little clearer. Mm-hmm. So I always send out the questionnaire, and then I ask for if they have any, if they've collected any pins or if they have any visuals that would help me look at their overall design. So I gather all of that first, and then we typically do a phone call. And even before COVID, we almost always do it over our first initial appointments, almost always over the phone. And it usually takes like maybe a half hour to an hour. And then I send them a proposal. And the proposal is really clear. It has pictures and descriptions, and everything's line itemized. So they have to get a really clear picture of what they're getting, or, so their expectations are met. Nice. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of what we do.
Awesome.
So cool. I like hearing the process that vendors go through with their clients. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're like identical, but then sometimes they're a little different. You're like, whoa, cool. I like that. So that's really cool.
Yeah. Another thing that we do too is we almost always do a mock-up. And so they we'll coordinate the linens that they're choosing, and we'll do like a little table mock-up for them. And that really helps because, maybe my blush is different than they thought their blush was going to be, or maybe their dresses came in a different color. So bringing all the elements in live form really help. And we usually do that a couple months before the wedding.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you actually like go to the showroom and they could play around with the place settings with your flowers there too?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly
so
what we
cool.
do.
That's so cool. So you mentioned a little earlier that you went to a floral design institute. I hear a lot of people saying like, well, maybe not with florals in particular, but like photo and video, like you don't need to go to school for it. You could just learn as you go, or you could watch YouTube. Do you feel that school actually helped you? And would you recommend it to any other aspiring florist?
Oh, I think it's definitely a great thing to do. I learned so much from that school. I didn't think when I started this, I knew I could grow flowers. I loved flowers, but I didn't know. I was very nervous about putting them together. It's very personal, like people could say, "Oh, that's ugly," or "It's not what I thought," or it's kind of like a reflection of you. And I didn't know if I would be able to create something correctly and pretty for my clients.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was very nervous about that. And I would say that the schooling shows you the correct fundamentals so that you are able to put the flowers together correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And so that gave me the confidence. And the other thing that I was very surprised about is I'm very strong in math, but I thought that flowers and arranging was more artistic, but it's actually extremely mathematical. So there's like a rhythm, there's, balance. There's all these things that are, for my mind, were because of the schooling kind of translated really well for me into like math.
That's so interesting. I would have never thought.
I know. It's kind of like music. You think, oh, music is so beautiful and it's so creative and, lovely. You don't really think of how much math is in music, and there's a ton of math.
Yeah.
So it's the same kind of.
That's so cool. Yeah, I like hearing. We like hearing that, like little
different perspective.
Yeah, different. Yeah, definitely. Super cool.
Awesome. So, just kind of like on the opposite end of that question, is there anything you learned like on the job that your course wasn't able to teach you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would say in our area in particular, again, I'm up in Pastoral. The thing I would say being a florist that is a little bit more challenging than I ever anticipated, and that would be getting the flowers physically delivered here.
Right.
Not like we live in Los Angeles or near San Francisco that we can just, go in and grab some flowers. If our delivery is messed up somehow, we have no place to like get bailed out. So relying on your vendors is like really critical. Like when I owned a restaurant, if my order didn't have tomatoes, I would just go to Food for Less and buy tomatoes.
Yeah.
Sure, I might have paid a little more, but you had them. Here, if I need, 500 stems of a peach rose, I can't really just go very many places and get that.
Right.
So that is the most challenging. And that's the part that I learned, with the job, because I didn't work for another florist. So I had to learn kind of these on my own. And that is probably the biggest challenge and the thing that I learned the most of. Like, you have to have multiple vendors. You have to work internationally all the time. You cannot rely on, you definitely want to try to rely on California and United States products, but you can't because necessarily have that all the time at your disposal. You often have to ship things in from other countries. So that was a big learning curve.
Dang.
Yeah, that's super gnarly. So also on your website, I saw that you mentioned that you work with your husband and I think kids. Like who else? Who else do you have on your team?
Well, it's so funny. That was my website is really old. So my kids are actually graduated from college now. So, but they all know how to wire and tape, and they know how to do everything. I have two boys, and but my husband still he helps me a lot, especially in the draping.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty physical, so we have to need a man on the job to help us out. So he helps us a lot. Once in a while, my kids will come and help, and I typically have 8. Pre-COVID, 8 employees that worked for me. So now it's just me.
But originally you would be able to like handle more than one wedding, or is that like for one wedding?
Yeah. My sweet spot would be doing 2 weddings in a weekend.
Oh, nice.
Weddings meaning floral weddings. And then probably like anywhere between 5 and 8 draping jobs per week. On top of that was like pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So how did you originally get into draping? Like, is that something that was from the beginning with floral, or is something you guys added on?
Yeah, funny story. I, like many of them, I did a wedding and the bride wanted some draping on her altar area. And I was so excited and I installed it and I thought it looked so beautiful and I'm so proud of myself. And then come to find out she thought it looked horrible.
What?
So I was like devastated. I couldn't believe she wasn't happy with it. So I refunded her money and I thought, wow, like you were way off, Kim. So you better get it together. And so I went to a school in Las Vegas and it's like an event design school.
Mm-hmm.
And I took this segment of draping, and it's like 7 days of intense draping in Las Vegas. And so I was determined never to have a bride disappointed in my draping skills again.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. So that like pushed you to get better at it, that whole experience.
Yeah. It was like a slap in the face.
I can imagine.
But it was good. I think we all are dished out some problems now and then. And it's like, well, what are you going to do about it? Am I going to say I'm never going to do draping again? Am I going to have a chip on my shoulder? Am I going to be too embarrassed? Or, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, okay, well, what can I do to improve myself, to improve my skill level?
Yeah.
And never have this happen again. So that's what I did.
Awesome.
Yeah, so cool. I like that. So you mentioned draping. So what kind of, I think you do also lighting and rentals. Do you offer that as well?
Yeah, it's kind of a smaller segment of our job, but if we're up in the ceiling draping and you need a chandelier, well, we have some chandeliers. But we work with, all the different rental companies in the area too. And it really kind of comes down to the bride. Like if she or the groom want a certain look and we've got it, great. If we don't, and I can get it from 7012 or Scout or Taylor Rental, or it doesn't matter. I'll know who has the products that they need and then I'll recommend them.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And how about candles? Like, is that something that you could provide too?
Yeah, I probably have like 500 LED candles and then we do real candles too. Yeah. We have a lot of candles are a big thing. So, but a lot of barns and a lot of venues don't allow real candles. So we have a lot of LED candles.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. So I want to know, like, paint me a picture here. So it's game day, it's wedding day. You got the florals all ordered. So what I'm picturing is like a big old semi pulling up with a bunch of florals. You're standing there with like your Flower by Kim apron with your, utensils ready to go. Like, so what's the game plan? What goes on the day of?
The day of the wedding?
Yeah. Or even just like leading up to it. So like
installation.
Just like putting it together and then whatnot.
Yeah, so you're right. We not really semi trucks, but vans come here. Sometimes semi trucks come, but that's usually for hard goods like vases and that sort of stuff. Then those are usually almost always delivered on semi trucks.
Yeah.
But they roll in Tuesday and Wednesday. The flowers do, And prior to that, Monday and Tuesday, we're prepping all of our vases and getting all of our, stuff ready.
Yeah.
And then when they come in, the flowers come in a lot of times in boxes, not in water. So we have to process them right away. And that just means that we cut them a certain way and put them in solution so that they suck up enough water quickly so that they're turgid.
Whoa.
And so that all happens Wednesday. We get them all processed, and then we allow them to stay in the cooler and to soak and kind of rest all night long. So we don't start designing until Thursday. And then Thursday, it's almost all 12 to 14 hours days, Thursday and Friday. And we have everything done. Well, our goal is to have everything completely done Thursday or Friday night. And then Saturday morning, when we come early in the morning, we wrap all the bouquets, we put the ribbons on them, and we double check them to make sure, a flower didn't die or it didn't break. Saturday morning is kind of our double check day, just to make sure everything looks great. And then we start loading everything typically in late morning. We start loading them up, and then we're usually to our site like noonish. And then from there, it usually takes us, most times it takes us about 4 hours to set up with a team of people. And of course, we have 2 weddings going on at the same time. So I'm always either at both, or I'm at the one that's the most challenging. And it could be the smallest wedding, but it could be the most challenging client. So that's kind of how we do that. And then we set everything up. We usually have to stay through the ceremony to move things around. Then we go home for maybe 5 hours, 6 hours. Then we come back at 10 o'clock and we start breaking everything down. And, means we clean everything up at 10 o'clock.
Awesome.
And so then we're usually done by about 11 or 12. And then Sunday morning comes and we have to start taking everything out of the vans and trailers, cleaning it all. And there's not a day off. There's never a day off. Yeah. So, but it's good. It's good for busy people. I'm busy, so it's good.
Kim, that is amazing. And I just need to applaud you here 1 second. We got to applaud you because that's insane. Because
I don't know how you design in between all of that.
Yeah, because wedding days when I'm doing photo or video for it, and you see the florist come in, but you see her putting some flowers on the arch or the ceremony aisles and whatnot, and inside the reception. But my goodness, the behind the scenes is insane.
Yeah, I always think it would be cool, if I hung out with a photographer, all day and then throughout the wedding, and then I had to sit with them for the weeks afterwards to do all the editing. I think we'd all have a different appreciation for each other's businesses,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're hanging out with me, I would be charging batteries. And then would be walking around with the bride and groom taking pictures. So, I mean, not as crazy as yours. Yeah.
No, but it's different. You have a different crazy though, because you have the day of crazy with the couple and the family. See, I don't have that on the day of.
Yeah.
So
it's really
I
neat,
had that before.
That you actually stay through the ceremony and repurpose things to make the flowers.
Yeah, we try to repurpose things. If there's anything that we can, I always tell them, pay for it once, use it twice.
That's awesome.
So cool. So we're just going to take a quick little break, and then we're going to come back with some more awesome questions.
Okay.
Welcome back, guys. We're still here with Kim from Flowers by Kim. So, Kim, what's the most extravagant design you've done for a wedding so far?
Oh boy, extravagant. I would say I did a very extravagant wedding about a year and a half ago. It's always extravagant when it's in a non-conventional venue, and this one was a high-end barn, but it was really like very high end. And we had to like create a lot of structural things in there to create floating arrangements from the ceiling. So that was really challenging and super elegant. So that was fun.
Speaking of elegant, because your designs are super nice and elegant and pretty, where would you say that your clientele ranges from? Do you say you're more towards the higher end clientele, or are you just like all over the place?
Well, I would say that probably a little more medium to higher end.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because we have a minimum for our floral designs, and that's $4,000. And so, because of that threshold, it kind of, can dictate that. If they only want a bridal bouquet or boutonniere, I won't be able to service them. So
yeah, I can imagine like you getting like 500 orders in for just like one boutonniere, like from all kinds of different weddings. Like, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, and there's actually a good business to do with that. It's just that that's not what I've focused on.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to circle back to like that barn thing. Like I think that's really neat that even if there's not like a feasible or easy way to hang something and they really want that, like let's do it. Let's make it happen. That's really neat.
Yeah, that's where my husband comes in handy because growing up as a farmer, he knows how to weld and he knows all about construction stuff. So we just throw him up in a scissor lift and give him some tools and he can make it happen. So I'm lucky in that regard.
Curious, like if you needed a forklift and stuff for all those drapings that are on those high ceilings, like how does that work?
Yeah, we actually have 2 scissor lifts, so we use them all the time.
Crazy.
You guys have everything.
I don't know about that, but those are our newest additions and we use them a lot. Well, not this year, but normally, yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say is like your favorite thing about being a wedding florist?
There's lots of things I love about it. I love the creativity and the flexibility. I love working with our local vendors. I mean, they're wonderful. I love working with the couples, the coordinators.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I could have picked any other job when I was, when I sold my restaurant. I mean, I could have really done whatever I wanted to do. And this is what I wanted to do. And this is what I still want to do. Even though it's a little, challenging right now, I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, I like that.
And you're amazing at it. So yay. What would you say your personal favorite flower is? There's so many.
Everybody says peony. I mean, I love peonies. I like romantic gardening flowers. I mean, ranunculus peonies, garden roses. Pretty traditional.
Yeah.
Kind of flower girl.
Nice. Is there a more challenging flower that people request and they're like super hard work?
Yeah, I would say there's a few of them. There's some flowers like in like the daffodil family, or that they'll kill other flowers if you put them in water with them. There's flowers that they grow in a manner that they follow the sunlight. Some of them are go against gravity, so they turn their their heads weird. So tulips are really hard to work with. So yeah, there's a few of them that are little sassy guys, but all of them have little tricks. So and schooling really helps you with a lot of that.
Nice.
Yeah, no kidding. So you weren't kidding when you said that you deal with math, but then also there's like science.
Yeah, there is. A lot of flowers are easy to deal with, but some of them are tricky.
So cool. So are there any like flowers that you haven't worked with that you would love to work with?
Well, there's got to be a million flowers I haven't worked with. Because in the wedding industry, we really kind of work with the same flowers. Most people want the same types of flowers. I don't have a lot of experience with tropical flowers. Like I don't know how to make certain types of, I don't even know what they're called, but they're like a lei, but they're for men to wear, almost like weaving of greenery. I don't know how to do any of that. And I've always been interested in learning how to do that. So yeah, I guess that would be it.
So cool. Wow. So I'm always really big on like the business side of things. And I was just curious, like, so this year has been hard for like all kinds, like everyone. So what has been the most like successful marketing strategy or tool to get you like started and, through this year to get your business name out and just to get bookings in?
Yeah, I would just say that in my experience, the clientele are not bothered with pricing.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to kind of get out of even though we might be suffering financially and we might be more price conscious as individuals, but our clientele don't seem to be as price conscious.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though they're having smaller weddings, it doesn't mean it has to be that much dollar-wise smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to get over that psychologically might be hard for some of us vendors. But really, the brides and their families are still wanting to celebrate and do a really fabulous job of celebrating, even though there might be 20 people instead of 200 people. Mm-hmm. And so kind of like reinstating that with the coordinators and trying to work together to keep our numbers up higher and delivering what the bride really envisioned for her wedding day. Just maybe instead of 20 centerpieces, there's 2 centerpieces, but she still has the same arch flowers and the same chromatic bouquet. And, maybe we've shifted things to maybe we wouldn't have allocated money to the car, the getaway car, but now we're allocating money towards that, or just something like maybe we'll do like I would call it cabana style draping over, 3 elongated tables, where before they wouldn't have spent the money on that or needed it, but now we're trying to make, things grander on a smaller scale. It sounds like oxymoron, but kind of like grabbing what they're still wanting and not being afraid to embrace what they want, even though we might be struggling financially.
That's a really good point, because it's like, yeah, their wedding might have shrunk, but you could still make it extra special. And it actually saved them a lot of money going from, like you said, 200 down to 20 people. So they probably would be more open to like being more creative and making it more grand, like you said.
Yeah.
Right. I've even noticed like the menus, like they might not have been able to afford, fine wine pairing with every segment of their meal. But now, because they only have 20 people or whatever, they can afford to do that.
Right.
So I think it's just changing. It's still really lovely and beautiful. It's just a little smaller.
Yeah.
I was curious, like, has there ever been, this is a pretty random question, has there ever been a time where you got like some flowers in and then you just started sneezing all of a sudden and you're like, whoa, I'm allergic to that?
Oh gosh.
That's so funny you say that, because I have a lot of allergies, but all of my allergies are to grasses.
Oh.
And I've taken allergy shots for years. Mm-hmm. And when I first started my allergy regimen, they said, you need, whatever you do, you need to get away from all the grasses. And I said, well, I married a grass farmer. I mean, he's a food farmer. I'm in it for good. So, but yeah, I'm lucky. A lot of florists are allergic to, it's actually even like topical. It's on their skin. There's a lot of flowers that secrete different things, and many florists are allergic. Thank God I don't have any allergies to flowers at all.
Awesome.
So cool. So good to hear.
So
Yeah.
what would be your best advice that you could give to a floral designer that's maybe just starting out?
Boy, that's a good question. Boy, I would say that they're so much younger than I am that they probably know this because their generation kind of grew up with this more than my generation, and that would be, do not underestimate visuals. So like your pictures have to be perfect. You need professional pictures. Your Instagram, you have to regularly visit your Instagram. We should be on some kind of system. I would just say don't underestimate the power of social media. But I think that that's almost intuitive to younger people. I think that is probably pretty natural to them. But that's one thing that it took me a while to really get on the bandwagon with. Yeah, I don't even look at my Facebook anymore, but I mean, not my Facebook. Well, that too, but my webpage, I don't even. I mean, I definitely do get on there, but people book me off of Instagram.
Oh wow, that's really good.
So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. So I would put as much emphasis on that as I could.
Yeah, that's some good advice. Going like your Instagram. Once you start a business, it's almost a business of its own.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work working on social media.
I think you just have to allocate a certain amount of time. You're like Monday, 4 hours a week, 4 hours a day. And then, or something. You have to have a system, or at least I do. I can't just randomly think about it.
Yeah.
And if you're not good at it, hire somebody to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how important it is.
Yeah, that's how important it is.
Yeah. And another thing I would say is there's an organization called SCORE, SCORE, and it's retired professionals that get together and help entrepreneurs. And if you're trying to get like an SBA loan or anything like that, they help you get prepared for that. And also they help you, like I needed some help, and you can go in there and they give you ideas of what's important, what's not important. If you need help with marketing or any business topic, it's a free service, and it's professionals that are really good, and they're very helpful.
That's really neat.
Yeah, that's super cool. I've never heard it's an online thing, right? It's not like
well, normally they have a branch in San Luis, and that's where I went physically. Whoa. But because of COVID, they don't do that anymore. But yeah, you can look it up on the SCORE score, and yeah, they're super helpful.
Yeah, that's
they probably
so cool.
have some offline. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. We're gonna go into another little tough question here, a little COVID related question here. So, since I know that COVID has impacted everyone's business and everyone's trying to hustle and do what they can to bring in income that they've lost from bookings this year, what have you done to, try to make up something that you've lost, like bookings that you've lost income wise and whatnot? Or postponed weddings.
Yeah. So business-wise, I looked into all sorts of things because I thought, well, I could start doing everyday deliveries. That's an area, and everyday deliveries are up. So it's not a bad idea because people can't visit their family and friends. Mm-hmm. So they're sending flowers more than they ever did before.
Right.
So that is something I could have done. And I typically get about I don't know, 3 to 7 phone calls a day of people wanting flowers, everyday flowers.
Oh.
So there's definitely a market there. I didn't do that because when we first entered COVID, I thought I'm going to be redoing my whole strategy for something that's going to last a month.
Yeah.
So had I known this was going to last this long, I probably would have done it. So I know other florists have kind of embraced that, but at the same time, and this is only particular to my situation, and that's my husband grows watermelons, and this is our biggest time of the year, summer and then fall. And he had the biggest crop he's ever had. And so I decided just to help him with his business because mine was so slow and I was going to have to kind of reinvent the wheel. It seems like it would be very similar, everyday arrangements to weddings, but it is quite different to, I don't have a POS system. How would I market it more? So instead of just doing 5 arrangements, I was doing 20 arrangements a day. Figuring out what does that type of clientele want? Do they want things that are more shelf stable so they last 7 days versus like what brides want, which is very current and trendy. So it would have been a bit of work. And I think it would have been smart to have done had I done it early enough and had my husband not needed my help.
Mm-hmm.
Watermelons sound good right now.
That's a crazy answer, probably.
That's so cool. So you know what? I think it is time for our lightning round fun question game.
Okay.
And
it sounded like I was going to get shot.
We're trying to lighten up here.
Yeah.
Get away from all the COVID stuff.
Yeah. And we're lightening up the mood now. And
okay.
You're the first one to play this game. So let me play some music here to get this kind of mood thing going here. Let's see here. So the game is, we're asking you some quick questions, kind of like a this or that game. And it's just to get to know you a little bit more outside of the business realm. So you ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. So it's kind of just like quick questions. We're getting
super quick.
Yeah. So when you hear them, you just like give us your answer.
Okay.
She's hopeful. All right, let's go. So, all right, Jade, you could go first and let's go for it.
Cats or dogs?
Dog.
Beer or wine?
Beer.
iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Stay up late or wake up early?
Stay up late.
Fall or spring?
Fall.
Cow's milk or almond milk?
Oh, cow.
Mints or gum?
Mint.
Pool or hot tub?
Hot tub.
Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Facebook or Instagram?
Insta.
Beach or snow?
Another tough one. No.
Book or movie?
Movie.
Flats or heels?
Heels.
Tacos or pizza?
Tacos.
Oh, yeah.
And a curveball celebrity crush?
Oh my God. Okay, this is from a long time ago, but I probably have to say Tom Cruise, and that's going to show you how old I am.
There you go.
Yes.
Oh, and let's see here.
That's a wrap.
That was so fun. That was fun.
Did I win a prize?
Yeah, you won our friendship for life.
Perfect. I can't get any better than that.
No way. Hey, Kim, we've had so much fun learning about your business and how you got started and also the lightning round, which was super fun to go through. So before we end this, can you let people that's listening, let them know where to find you?
Sure. My name is Flowers by Kim, flowersbykim.com, Flowers by Kim, Instagram. And my number is 805-674-5243.
Beautiful.
Awesome. You guys heard it from Kim. If you're looking for some amazing flowers, check out Flowers by Kim. Man, what a fun episode. We had such a blast talking to Kim and learning what goes behind the scenes when it comes to her business. And I definitely love hearing how, she works with her husband. Kind of like you and I, Jade.
Yeah. I'm always so impressed by her work too. It was super fun to get to know her more today and to hear how she works, like you said. I also especially love how much of a perfectionist she is and how she always wants to continue learning and improving, even though she's already amazing.
Definitely. As always, guys, thanks again for tuning in to the Wedding Vendors Happy Hour. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button to hear from some more amazing wedding professionals. Till then, we'll catch you on episode 27.